Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Rideshare Hub. My name is Dylan, thanks so much for coming by. I don't know about you guys, but I really like these videos where I just sit down and talk with you. It's a lot less formal than some of my other bigger production videos, so I like this a lot. You know, I got my nice cup of joe here, and we can just chat about stuff. So today's video, I'm answering a question that I do get asked a lot, and it is, should I rent a car to drive for Uber or Lyft, or should I buy one? Or should I drive my own car? Because even if you do have a car that still qualifies for Uber or Lyft, you might still be thinking, well, maybe I don't want to put a bunch of miles on that car, so should I rent instead? So we're going to be talking about renting versus buying. We're going to bring up car leases. We are going to be talking about what car you should buy or what car you should rent and what rental company to use. There's a lot to talk about. I'm going to keep this as brief as possible because I know you guys are busy and have stuff to do. So before I get into all of that, if you could just do me one simple favor, it is, if you know it already, maybe you've already done it, so maybe I don't have to ask you guys, but for anyone who's new, can you please give the video a thumbs up? It's, you know, super simple, doesn't take much effort from you, but it helps me so much. Literally, please, that's all I ask, you know. Don't need to buy my course, don't need to buy my book, don't buy my merch, leave the video a thumbs up. All right, so let's hop into the topic of the video. Let's say, you know, let's say you're 30 years old, you have a car. So let's say you have a pretty nice car, right? You have a 2017 Toyota Camry, right? Not that many miles on it, and the car's worth a decent amount of money, and you're thinking, well, you know, I'm thinking about driving for Uber and Lyft, but I don't want to put 50,000 miles a year on my car. Should I just rent a car instead? Or maybe you don't have a car, and you're thinking, well, shoot, do I really need to buy one, or can I just rent? Or maybe you have a car that is only a two-door, like me. Well, when I first started, I only had a two-door, so I had to buy one. So I can, you know, briefly talk about that experience. Or maybe the car is not new enough. So actually, this is super important information. Uber and Lyft's car qualifications vary depending on where you live. And so if you're, I'll just say it straight up, you know, let's cut to the chase. I recommend buying, if you're gonna buy a car, buy the car used and literally the cheapest possible, because you're gonna destroy the car anyways. You're buying a car for Uber and Lyft, you're driving, you know, all the time on it. Get a car that's already depreciated. I'm talking a $5,000 car or less. Definitely, no, if you're thinking about buying a used car, just, you know, get a good one. I did forget to mention in my previous video, look up on Facebook Marketplace. That's the best place to do it. Go in your hometown, find somebody, maybe even have a mutual connection with them. You know, make sure if the person looks trustworthy, you know, they're like, you can even sometimes see their job title. The person looks like a good person, they probably took care of their car pretty well, and ask them, you know, hey, I'm looking to buy a car, can I come test drive it, whatever. Rather than just going on Craigslist. I mean, you can definitely find good deals on Craigslist, but on Facebook Marketplace, you know, don't go to a dealership and buy a used car, because, you know, they sell it at a much higher rate and there's fees and all this stuff. You want to buy it through Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. What was I gonna say? And yeah, so I'm talking about like a cheap car, and you can get a reliable car that's cheap. Just make sure the person maintained it. Ask them, you know, when's the last time you have had your timing belt replaced? How often do you do oil changes? Ask questions like that. I bought my car, 2011 Ford Escape, 100,000 miles on it. The car was worth probably 6 or 7 grand. I offered them 5 and they took it. And I was looking at, I probably put offers on like 20 or 30 cars. Like, I always lowball, and that, you know, you never know. Somebody might just want to get rid of the car the same day. And that way, so since the car was worth 6 or 7, when I resell it, I can probably still get around 5K for it. So I didn't lose any money on depreciation. But if you're thinking about renting a car, the only time I do recommend renting a car is if you're gonna be driving full time. There are some great rental companies like Hertz, Get Around, Fair now has a partnership with Uber, Lyft Express Drive. Those are 4 options. Check those out, check the rates. The ones that partner with Uber and Lyft, like Fare, and then the ones that partner with, well, I guess through Lyft, if you're using Lyft Express Drive. So Fare or Lyft Express Drive, those two ones are probably the best because the more you drive, it's actually like built into the system. The more you drive, the less you pay. So I think if you do like, I don't know, they're always changing, but like, and it depends on the car you get too, but you can like get a hybrid with low gas, and the more rides you do, say you do like 90 or 100 rides a week, your car payment's only gonna be like 20 bucks a week or something, but or 50, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but basically the more rides you do, because they want you to drive more, the less you go. But if you're only driving part-time, you're gonna end up paying like 200 bucks a week. That's how much it costs to rent a car. Like, it's a car, you're renting a $30,000 car, like it's not cheap. It's a, you know, 200 bucks a week, not a month. And but if you do it through a rental company, like you want to do it full time, so you're like making at least $1,000 a week, and that way, you know, you're just profiting the difference. You only have to pay for gas. You're not paying for maintenance, wear and tear, or depreciation. So you're saving a lot on that. If you, like me, when I own my car, I have to pay for maintenance and wear and tear and the depreciation, even though my depreciation is low already. And then of course gas, which everyone has to pay, even if you're doing a rental. Anything else on that? That's pretty much it in terms of rental. Like, just look up a few places, do the math. I honestly recommend, like, set up a spreadsheet, set up the time, like, or set up your crunch numbers. That's the best thing to do, is crunch numbers and figure out all the costs it's gonna cost you. If you're gonna plan on driving full time, even if you have a car that qualifies for Uber and Lyft, I would recommend renting a car, just so you're not wasting money on depreciation and maintenance. And if you're driving 50 hours a week, you're putting on a lot of miles on your car. And if you could put miles on your car in a rental car rather than your own, I would probably at least look into it. And then also, I don't recommend driving Uber or Lyft on a lease, because leases typically do have mileage limits. So I don't know, maybe 20, 30,000 a year. That's probably a lot for a lease, maybe on the higher end. A normal car is usually around 15,000 miles. I think that's the average that a normal person uses, not even Uber and Lyft, but just commuting to work and doing daily personal, going on trips and stuff. Around 15K miles. Leases might have a limit, so if you're driving, you might hit that limit really fast. I was actually really surprised when I started driving after my first couple weeks, when I started crunching my numbers, realizing that I was driving a lot of miles on my car, way more than I anticipated. And you know, just, it's not even in trips, it's in between trips, it's going home from trips. Like, if you sometimes you get an hour away from your house, and then you have to drive home at the end of the day. So miles do add up. So like, take that into account. It's like wear and tear. Since I started driving for Uber Lyft, changed my perspective completely. Every single mile that you put in your car, you're not just paying for gas. You're paying for gas, depreciation, and wear and tear. Sometimes, like, I'll have a friend who's like, hey, can you pick me up from the airport? I'll give you gas. I'm like, well, what about my depreciation and my wear and tear? Are you gonna pay for that too? Like, I am so much more frugal now that I started driving. So it costs is a lot more than just gas on your car. So next time your friend asks you, hey, can you pick me up from the airport? I'll give you gas. Be like, yeah, if you pay for my gas, depreciation, and wear and tear, then sure. And then you can charge them 58 cents a mile there and back. That's how you be a real friend. Maybe your friends won't like you if you do that, but it's fair. I mean, hey, if you want to be fair, if they want to be fair about it, otherwise they can take an Uber. No, I'm just kidding. You should probably do them a favor and just pick them up from the airport. Don't leave them stranded. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Like I said, it's definitely like not a yes or no question. It really depends on your circumstance, what kind of car you have already. If you have a really cheap used car that qualifies for Lyft or Uber, I'd probably just use that. If you're doing it part-time, or if you're doing it full-time, look into rental companies. Don't do a lease. Don't buy an expensive car for Uber or Lyft. Don't buy something that's worth over $10,000. If you already did buy one, if you're driving full-time, if you're driving part-time and you have an expensive car, it just, you know, take into account all the money you're losing on depreciation. You're gonna be making less than somebody who's driving a cheaper car. You see an Uber or Lyft who's driving a 2019, that person is making less money than somebody who's driving a 2010 Hyundai Accent. Like, the cheaper the car, the more money you make. That's literally how it works. Even in normal life, like rich people, like I'm not talking super rich people, but your standard millionaire, they're driving a used Honda Civic. And it has like 200,000 miles on it. You know, cars nowadays, you can drive them to 200,000, 250,000 miles. Just make sure you replace the timing belt at some point and get proper maintenance done. You know, all that stuff. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure, again, to give it a thumbs up if you haven't yet, and subscribe if you want notifications when I post videos on Uber and Lyft. Alright guys, you guys are the best. Literally, I mean that. You guys are awesome. If you're watching my videos, thank you so much. Even if you're a hater, because I know there's some haters out there watching this video who are like, hey, I don't even like this guy talking, but I watched all of his videos anyway. Yeah, I welcome everyone here to the channel. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye guys, later.